Good morning, everybody. This is Mike. Today we're going to talk about trees for your model railroad. Super trees. Now, when I look at videos of real trains running through hilly or mountainous terrain, you see these trains surrounded by old growth timber. Now, these trees tower over the trains. That's what I'm trying to convey. Now, I'm in O scale. This is a 40-foot boxcar. Now, basically on the same level, you can get the idea of what I'm trying to achieve. The trees should tower over the trains. Too many times we modelers settle for smaller trees just because they're the only ones you can purchase. This tree here is a 20-inch tree. Scale, that would be 80 foot. Let's move in closer so you can see the detail of it. Hopefully this will focus in. So you've got pretty good detail even close up. Now I'm making my trees out of the Scenic Express Super Tree material and the Super Tree flocking. This one here is in olive green. And it's basically a 3 or 4 step process depending on how you want to count. This has got all the flockings complete. Now here we have a 16-inch tree. This has got all the branches glued on. It's got the coat of camouflage paint on it. Let's see if we can zoom in here. Get an idea how this looks without the flocking. Next to it, this tree's about 18 inches. And here you can see the actual attachments of the super tree branches you'll get out of the box to the armature. You can see how I glue a bunch of different pieces of the material onto the armature to fill in the empty spaces on the tree. I'll show you my armatures when we go inside in my workstation. Now here we can see some of the pieces that come straight out of the box. Now these are 6 to 9 inch pieces, and they come right out of the box, and they make fairly good smaller trees for areas, maybe suburban areas, and residentials and places like that. You can get it pieces up to about 9 inches here, which make a pretty decent tree. Okay, welcome to my workstation / kitchen table. Now these are the armatures I'm using. These come off my Manhattan bushes out in the backyard. I choose those because they have a lot of side branches coming off that I can have spots to glue onto. Now I just try to find straight ones, and in the air maybe 12 to 16 inches tall with a lot of branches. Now I cut these off, and then I cook them in the oven at about 200 for a few hours to dry them out and make sure the glue will stick. Now here you can see a tree in process. Now I stick these in a block of foam so they'll stand up and I can get a visual on how to put the branches in. And then I just go back, get an appropriate piece of branch or super tree material, and start gluing these in. I'm using super glue, medium viscosity. I just got this off of Amazon. And I just start gluing them in one at a time. Here you can see the little seed pods that come on this stuff, and you have to pull these off one by one. Now it's not that important, but I've had some cases where they will actually show through after you put the flocking on. So I remove all those as I go along. Now as you can see, I'm working on 2 trees at the same time. My method of building these is come in and glue a branch on and then walk away. So I work on a couple at a time. If you have more room, you could get 4, 5, 6 going at one time. Make a glue joint on each, walk away, and come back. Now here you can see I'm using twist ties. Now you can wrap these around the armature and then use them to hold the branch in place while the glue dries. Now I'll work from the bottom of the tree and just start working up. I want to show you a little bit right here on making the most of the material you get out of a box. Not only do I glue the branches onto the trees, but I glue little pieces. I don't know if this will focus, we'll try. Little pieces onto each of these branches. Okay, all the little stubs on the super tree material. This lets you salvage a whole bunch of material that'll be in the box that you can't use otherwise. You'll get a lot of pieces like this. Now I'll glue on other smaller pieces that I find. You get a lot of pieces like this in the box. Just very small pieces. But if you glue them all together, you can end up with some pretty good branches. Now, over here's one. I've made a lot of glue joints too, and this is getting close to being ready to be put on a tree. Another point I want to cover is you'll get these smaller branches on your tree. Now, what I noticed after I put the flocking on my final tree that I showed outside, that I'm going to get sag on these lighter branches. So I go through and I coat these branches in super glue to stiffen them up before I put the flocking on. Okay, to recap, you find yourself a suitable armature, find a place to stand it up, and start gluing branches on. I laid out the entire box of the super tree material on my table here and worked off piece by piece whatever fit into the situation I was looking for. I hope I've helped. Any questions or comments, just leave them and I'll try to answer. Thanks for watching. Okay, we're going to flock a tree. Just hairspray. I don't put too much on the bottoms of the branches. All the leaves you see are on the tops of the branches, not the bottom. I just do this to fill them in some. Slight coating there. A little more hairspray to stick them down good. Spin over, we'll get some on these next branches. Now the forgiving thing about this flock is you can put too much on. If you're using hairspray, a lot of other people use white glue. If you use hairspray, you can always crumble it off later if you put too much on. If you don't get enough, you can always add a little more. Running out of hairspray, may not be able to finish this. And we've got a little breeze kicking up to make it a little more fun. The breeze giving me a fit here. I'm getting more lost than I am on the tree. No, the wind's kicking up terrible. And we're out of hairspray. A couple tap offs. You can get the basic idea. I'm going to have to come back and redo this again later, but you can get the basic idea how you do it. Spray hairspray, put your flocking on, more hairspray. A lot of people do this with white glue. With white glue, it's a little harder to get off if you get any big clumps, and it does tend to clump a little more. Alrighty.